لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه تبارك وتعالى في محكم كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد وقوله الحق: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ما كان المؤمنون لينفروا كافة فلولا نفر من كل فرقة منهم طائفة ليتفقهوا في الدين ولينذروا قومهم إذا رجعوا إليهم لعلهم يحذرون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. After the demise and the martyrdom of the divine guides who were sent by Allah Azza wa Jal to guide human beings, and when our 12th Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajah went into the major occultation, the Ghaybat al-Kubra, there was no direct access to the Hujjah of Allah on earth. There was no direct access to the divine guide. And therefore, in order to seek guidance, we had to turn to the scholars, to the ulama. As we know, the hadith of our holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, is clear where he says, Al-ulama warathatul anbiya. The scholars are the inheritors, are the heirs of the prophets. So we had to turn to the scholars. And in this verse that I have recited, which is from Surah At-Tawbah, verse 122, Allah Azza wa Jal says very clearly that it is not possible for all the believers to leave and go and study about the religion. So send a group from your community. From every community, there should be a group that goes to learn about the religion. لِيَتَفَقَّهُوا فِي الدِّينِ. Fiqh means a deep understanding, a deep learning, a deep knowledge. Why? وَلِيُنذِرُوا قَوْمَهُمْ إِذَا رَجَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ. So that when they come back to their community, they can warn them, they can preach to them. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَحْذَرُونَ. Maybe if they are given that preaching and that guidance, they may become good believers, they may take heed. We live in a world today which is a world where everyone has a voice and everyone has an opinion. In the past, everyone had an opinion, but they would keep their opinions to themselves, because nobody would want to hear every other person's opinion. However, today, unfortunately, because we have the ability of using different technologies, media, internet, Twitter, Facebook, so everyone has their opinion and they put it out there for the rest of the world to see and hear. So we are bombarded by different opinions on different subjects. And Allah Azza wa Jal tells us very clearly in the Quran, إن تطع أكثر من في الأرض يضلوك عن سبيل الله. If you follow majority of these people in the world, they will take you away from the path of Allah. إن يتبعون إلا الظن. They're only following their own imagination, their own dhan, their own conjecture. وإنهم إلا يخرصون. And they're just giving their own opinions. And therefore we realize that if we want to follow an opinion, we should follow the opinion of somebody who is learned in that field, who is a specialist in that field. It is quite clear, it is quite simple to understand this. And that is why Allah Azza wa Jal in the Quran states, هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Those who know, are they equal to those who don't know? Obviously not. A person may be an expert in a certain field. A person is an expert in the field of medicine, for example. If you have a question about medicine, you will go to that person and find out. This is something which is part of the common understanding of human beings. So when we talk about the importance of gaining knowledge, going out to gain knowledge, this verse that I mentioned was with regards to religious knowledge. However, gaining knowledge in itself is something that Islam has emphasized upon. We find numerous ahadith. We find the ahadith which we all know, for example, طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَةٌ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ وَمُسْلِمَةٍ. Gaining knowledge is a must on every Muslim, male and female. It is wajib. Just as praying is wajib, gaining knowledge is wajib. And therefore it is very important for us to understand that if we want to be a community that breaks out of this routine and this monotonous lifestyle, which is a lifestyle that has been described as hamster in the wheel lifestyle. Do you know the hamster in the wheel? In the West they keep a pet known as a hamster, which looks like a rat. It's a rodent. And in order to give that hamster something to play with, they put a wheel. And the hamster keeps running all day on the wheel, but it's in the same place. It doesn't go anywhere. Our kind of lifestyle should not be a hamster in the wheel lifestyle, where even our ibadat are routine ibadat. Even the most pious of us, we do our ibadat as a matter of routine, without any progress. The progress can only come when we acquire knowledge, when we gain knowledge. And that is why it is so important that we are told that we should not remain an ignorant community. We should become a learned community. There is an interesting quote by Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu of South Africa. He says, when the white man came to us, he had the Bible in his hand and we had the land. He said, let us pray. So we closed our eyes. When we opened our eyes, we had the Bible in our hands and they had the land. This is because the community is ignorant, so people can take them for a ride. As a community, we should ensure that we become a learned community, so that we do not fall for these things. And that is why when we look at the riwayat and the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam, we find that we are told you either should be a scholar who is learned or a student who is learning. There is no third option for you. Imam Ali alayhi salam clearly states that if you are not one who is learned or one who is learning, then you are like the froth in the ocean. It is something which is valueless. You are like the riffraff. You are like valueless people. If you do not include yourself in one of these two categories, either a scholar or someone who is learning. And therefore it is of paramount importance for us in our daily lives, every single day learn at least one new thing that you never knew before. At least one new thing. I know that we are all busy people. Nobody here sits free the whole day. Everyone has something to do. But it does not take much time, especially now when we have all the technologies available, to learn something new every day. Now when we talk of learning, learning is of two types. There is that which is self-learning, learning from the books, you read books, you learn yourself. And that there is that kind of learning which you learn from your teacher. You have a teacher who teaches you. Learning from books is very good. Definitely, you should go for it. You should read as much as possible. We should become a reading community. But the best kind of knowledge is the knowledge that you gain from your teacher. The riwayah tells us, خُذِ الْعِلْمِ مِنْ أَفْوَاهِ الرِّجَالِ. Take knowledge from the mouths of the teachers. Why? Because when you learn from a teacher, if the teacher has said something, you need clarification, you can ask. If you read in a book, you need clarification, whom will you ask? And therefore, it is very important. Secondly, there are certain things that are written in the books which we cannot understand. You recall we had this discussion about the esoteric aspect of Islam some nights ago. One of the Urafa by the name of Al-Qushayri, he writes in his book, he says, we the Urafa purposely write in such a way that ordinary people will not understand what we want to say. We write in riddles and in metaphors. The uninitiated will not understand what we are saying. So there are certain things that we can read but not understand. The level of human understanding is such that even the Holy Prophet says clearly in his narration, إِنَّا مَعَاشِرَ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ أُمِرْنَا أَن نُكَلِّمَ النَّاسَ عَلَى قَدْرِ عُقُولِهِمْ. We, the prophets, have been commanded to talk to the people at their level of understanding. And that is why when we look at descriptions of Jannah, for example, we are told تَجْرِي مِن تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارِ. We are told of حور العين كأمثال اللؤلؤ المكنون, things like that, isn't it? These are the descriptions of Jannah. But in reality, Jannah, if you look at what the riwayat tell us, it is something that لا عين رأت ولا أذن سمعت ولا خطر ببال بشر. It is something that no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no mind has imagined. It is because we, the human beings, have this limited capacity to understand that Allah Azza wa Jal explains Jannah to us in this way. And similarly, the Prophet would explain things to people in this way, making it diluted because it's difficult. And that is why when we want to learn, the best way to learn is from the mouths of the teachers, directly. Now, having said that, one of the institutions that we have in our community, alhamdulillah, through which we can learn from the mouths of the teachers, from the mouths of the people directly, is the institution of the mimbar, of the pulpit. So it is very important for us to understand about the mimbar and the role of the mimbar in the society. When we talk about the mimbar, we find that there are 4 important roles that the mimbar plays. Number 1, to remind the people about Allah Azza wa Jal, to bring people closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, to remind them about Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, to bring them closer to Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And that is why the Ahlul Bayt clearly tell us, Rahimallahu man ahya amrana. May Allah have mercy upon the people who enliven our matter. And so that is the first and most important role that the mimbar or the pulpit plays. Here now, when we talk of mimbar, because of in our day and age we have the television, which gives you different majalis, you have the internet, we have different platforms. We should consider all these things when we are talking about this. Let's not limit it only to the physical mimbar. When I say mimbar, you should understand all these platforms should be included. So the first role is closeness to Allah. The second role is that we learn, the dissemination of knowledge from the member. You want to learn. As I said, we have to be either scholars or students. And because we want to be students and we want to learn, so the second most important role of the member is to learn. To teach people what the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam have told us. To explain to the people the tenets of Islam. What is Islam? These are the things that happen under the second role, which is to teach and to disseminate knowledge and information. And this is not limited only to the human beings. There is a beautiful hadith from our fifth Imam, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, in which he describes the situation where one day our first Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, was seated on the mimbar and he was giving a khutbah when suddenly a large snake entered the masjid. And when the people saw the large snake, they immediately went to try and kill the snake. And Imam Ali alayhi salam told them, don't kill the snake. That snake came near the mimbar of Imam Ali alayhi salam and started communicating with Imam Ali alayhi salam. This hadith is in Al-Kafi. Anyone wants the reference, I can provide the reference. And after speaking for some time, the snake goes away. The fifth Imam alayhi salam tells us this was actually one of the jinn that had a question and came to ask Imam Ali alayhi salam the question. The Imam replied him from the mimbar, he got his reply and he left. So the idea of disseminating information and knowledge and giving knowledge to the people is something that is not limited only to human beings. From this hadith we can know that even the ajinna attend sometimes these gatherings, and these gatherings are gatherings full of barakah. There are so many narrations that say when a gathering of knowledge, when a majlis is taking place, even the angels attend. And that brings us to the third role. The third role of the mimbar is to bring the community together. There is a social role. Many of you, dear brothers, may not have met each other for a long time, but because you are coming to attend the majlis, you meet each other. So there is a positive social role also. And the fourth role of the mimbar is to correct the mistakes, if there are any mistakes in the community. This is very important. At the time of our beloved Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, we know that our Prophet had a son by the name of Ibrahim. And when Ibrahim passed away from this world, on the day that he died, there was a solar eclipse. So the people started saying to one another that this solar eclipse has happened because Ibrahim has died. Because Allah Azza wa Jal has taken away the son of the Holy Prophet, that is why the sun has become eclipsed in the sky. There is a solar eclipse. And so when the Holy Prophet heard this, immediately he went to the masjid and he went on the mimbar and he said, Ayyuhan nas, inna shamsa wal qamara ayatan min ayatillah. O people, the sun and the moon are two of the signs of Allah. Yajriyani bi amrih, they move in orbit in accordance to His command. Muti'ani li amrih, they are obedient to Allah. La yankasifan li mawti ahad wala li hayatih, they do not get eclipsed at the death of any individual, nor do they get eclipsed at the birth of any individual. So the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him and his progeny, went on the mimbar to correct the mistake of the people. The people started imagining that this solar eclipse is because Ibrahim has died. So he went on the minbar and he said, no people, this is not why the solar eclipse has happened. The solar eclipse has got nothing to do with the death of Ibrahim. And so we find that the fourth and most important role is that correction of the mistakes. If there are any mistakes in the community, the minbar plays an important role in doing that. Now, what about those who take this very heavy burden of responsibility and they sit on the minbar to disseminate this information and this knowledge? What are the qualifications they should have? Number one, they should have knowledge, because فَاقِدُ الشَّيْء لَا يُعْطِي. Someone who doesn't have knowledge cannot give knowledge. Someone who doesn't have something cannot give it. So the first requirement is that they should have knowledge. Now, does that mean that no, they have to have gone to Hawza to study? No, not necessarily. As I said, you can gain knowledge by reading books. You can gain knowledge by listening to scholars. You can gain knowledge by talking to scholars. So those who undertake this responsibility, amongst the dhakirin, for example, they are doing a great service to the community. They study and they come and preach. There is no problem in that. Because you know, it is very clear, man la yudriku kulluh yes, I've forgotten that saying. There is one very interesting saying which says, one who cannot take everything should not leave everything. Ma la yudriku kulluh la yutraku kulluh. That which is not totally taken, that doesn't mean you should totally leave it. Somebody who does not have that information and does not have that background that they have studied in the house, that doesn't mean now they cannot do anything. No. There are people in the community who are studying and giving the information. Let them do that. There is no problem. As long as they do it an ilmin. They have got the knowledge and they give the knowledge. So the first quality is knowledge. The second is taqwa. Anyone who wants to preach himself has to be a person who is God-wary, pious. Because at the end of the day, that person is taken as a role model, whether you like it or not. And so if a person has got bad habits and that person wants to preach, then the problem will be that that person will influence the other people. Firstly, they will not be able to guide anyone if they themselves are not guided. So taqwa is very important. And the third quality is humility, tawadu. If you're a humble person and you say something and you make a mistake, it will not be difficult for you to say, I made a mistake. Because you're a humble person. You don't have that arrogance and that pride. There is no way I made a mistake. You make a mistake, you say, yes, I made a mistake. Humility is so important. It's so important. If you look at our ulama and you see how humble they were, it will really show you how important this quality is. One of the great Maraji', Ayatollah Burujardi Ridwanullah alayh, one day he was teaching his students. And you know, over there when the teacher teaches the students are allowed to ask questions. So one student asked a question and Ayatollah Burujardi replied, but that student was not satisfied, so he counter questioned and Ayatollah Burujardi replied, but he was still not satisfied and he kept on asking until the tone changed. Ayatollah Burujardi's tone changed and he became a little bit harsher and he replied. The moment that student saw that the tone has changed, he kept quiet. That day, Ayatollah Burujardi calls one of his close students and says, I want to go and meet that student whom I was harsh with. So that student says that just now it is Maghrib time. Let me go and ask him when he will give us some time, because he is also an imam of one of the masajid. I think it is better if we can go tomorrow morning after Fajr prayers, he will have time. So Ayatollah Burujardi said, okay, tomorrow morning. This man narrates that when I went to take Ayatollah Burujardi the next morning after Fajr, I saw him waiting outside his house. He was waiting. At that time, Ayatollah Burjardi was so old that for him to stand on his own was a problem. But he was waiting outside his house. He went to this student's house and he told him that I apologize to you for what I have said. I was a bit harsh with you. The student said, no, you are my teacher. You have every right. So Ayatollah Burjardi said, no, I need your forgiveness. You give me forgiveness, that is the only time I will be pleased. And the student forgave him. And this shows you that true scholars are humble people. They have humility. A person who has knowledge, a person who has taqwa, a person who has humility, that type of person would be the best role model, and he would be the appropriate person to advise the community. Some scholars have mentioned two other attributes, but they say it is not necessary. They say eloquence and wit. Eloquence, but it's not necessary because Musa alayhi salam was chosen as a prophet and he had a problem in speaking. Allah Azza wa Jal knew that he has a problem, yet he chose him as his prophet. And we all know how Musa alayhi salam got that problem in his tongue. And when he was a young child, the narration says one day Fir'aun was playing with him as a baby. And Musa alayhi salam as a baby, he scratched Fir'aun and pulled out some hairs from his beard. So Fir'aun got furious. He said, this must be that baby whom we were told will grow up and he will overturn my kingdom. Let us kill him. At that moment, Asiya, the wife of Fir'aun, whose example has been given in the Holy Quran as one of the good women, she comes and says, no, he's a baby. He doesn't know what he's doing. He hasn't done this on purpose. So Fir'aun said, okay, we'll have to test whether this baby understands what he's doing or not. So he ordered 2 dishes to be brought. One with red dates and one with red coal, red hot charcoal. And the riwayah says that Musa alayhi salam, his hand went towards the dates, but Jibreel alayhi salam pushed it towards the charcoal. So he took a charcoal and put it in his mouth, and since that time he had a problem in communicating. He had a problem with his tongue, but it saved his life. So Musa alayhi salam was chosen as a prophet. Of course, in the Quran, Musa tells Allah, وَأَخِي هَارُونَ هُوَ أَفْصَحُ مِنِّي لِسَانًا فَأَرْسِلْهُ مَعِيَ رِدْءًا يُصَدِّقُنِي. Oh Allah, my brother Harun is more eloquent than me, so send him with me so that he can confirm what I am saying. فَأَخَافُ أَن يُكَذِّبُونَ, because I'm afraid that they will reject me, they will belie me. So eloquence. And another quality that some scholars mention is wit. The example of wit is the example of Ibrahim alayhi salam. When Ibrahim alayhi salam is arguing with Namrud, what does he say? He says, Rabbi alladhi yuhyi wa yumit. O Namrud, my Lord is the one who gives life and takes it away. So Namrud said, oh really? I can do that. He brings 2 prisoners. He says, kill this one and let this one live. Then he turns to Ibrahim and says, look, I have done the same thing. I have given life and I have taken it away. The response of Ibrahim alayhi salam now shows wit. Ibrahim alayhi salam says, قال إبراهيم إن الله يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأت بها من المغرب. O Namrud, if really you say that you are as powerful as my Lord brings the sun out from the east, you bring it from the west. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. So he was dumbfounded. He did not know what to do. So some say that for those who want to preach, they should have that wit. But these are not requirements. These are extra qualities that should be there. Now when we talk of the mimbar and the importance of the mimbar, we know that it is made up of two aspects, the speaker and the listener. For the speaker, the scholars have given some bits of advice, and for the listeners also the scholars have given some advice, which I can convey to you. For the speakers, the scholars say what you speak should be appropriate, and they give the example. There was one time a majlis that was recited for the Fatiha of one of the mu'mineen who had died away in a tragic, sudden accident. So they say one dhakir came on the mimbar and he recited the hadith that the Holy Prophet has said, إِذَا كَثُرَ الزِّنَا كَثُرَ مَوْتُ الْفَجَّةِ. When zina in a place increases, sudden death increases. This is a very bad example because he was a mu'min. Why are you bringing this type of hadith about zina? Na'udhu billah. The right hadith for him to have said was Al-mawtul fuj'a rahatun lil mu'min wa hasratun ala al-kafir. A sudden death is a raha, is a comfort for a believer and a regret and a remorse for a kafir. We have this hadith also. So that would have been the more appropriate hadith in this kind of gathering. So appropriateness is important. And the second thing that they say is when you speak, make sure that you avoid giving your opinion. Give the opinion of ulama, especially in issues which cause contention and strife and disunity. You should avoid these things. And for the listeners, they have also given advice. When you come to the mimbar, come to learn. The ulama say that anything that is spoken from the mimbar has a ruh and a jasad. The ruh is the madda, is the contents, and the jasad is the presentation. Many times we get carried away with the jasad and we don't look at the ruh. We should also look at the ruh of the presentation, which is the contents, not only the external presentation. And then we turn to the saying of Ibn Sina, which is very pertinent for those who listen, those who are the sami'een, those who are attending the majalis. Ibn Sina says, كل ما قرع سمعك من الغرائب فذره في بقعة الإمكان ما لم يضدك عنه قائم البرهان. Whenever something comes to your ears which sounds a bit difficult to digest, من الغرائب, it's gharib, it's ajib, keep it in the realm of possibility. في بقعة الإمكان, it's mumkin, it's possible that this is true. ما لم يضدك عنه قائم البرهان. As long as you don't have evidence, you don't have proof against it, you take it as a possibility. This is a beautiful general rule for those who listen. When you hear something, you're not sure about it, say it is possible. The moment you get proof against it, then you say, no, now I reject. Many people, they hear something, the first thing that they will say, this is wrong, I reject. Why do you want to reject? Do you have evidence? No, it doesn't make sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to you, how can that be the gauge of something being right and wrong? Maybe you haven't understood. Maybe the problem is with the listener. Allah Azza wa Jal, when He is describing those servants whom He has given the good news, He says, الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقَوْلِ فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَهُ. Those people who listen to what is being said and they take the best from it. Human beings are jaizul khata. It is no problem if they make mistakes. Human beings, they err, they make mistakes. Those who listen, they should take the best from what they hear. Sometimes a speaker will say something wrong. Does that mean now we turn everything that that speaker has said away? No. They might have said something right. What they have said right, you take. What they have said wrong, you say, no, this I will not accept. That is the way the true servants of Allah, those who have been guided, deal with what they hear. Let us pray to Allah Azza wa Jal to grant all those who sit on the manabir tawfiq, that they should have all the requirements insha'Allah when they sit on the minbar. And to grant all those who sit and listen to people who speak from the minbar to have the right attitude and the right qualities that those who listen should have, thereby making our community an educated community, a learned community, so that we do not fall for things that take us away from the right path. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.